So we're going to take a look today at foot flare and how important it is, not only for getting open with the ball, but for getting more power. Each player is predisposed to move in a particular way. Let's take a look at which one would apply to you. So having a look at your flare in your feet and why it's so important to your golf game. So we obviously talked about it in the past of how your foot flare, particularly in your left foot, how it actually encourages you to be able to rotate on the way through. But actually it's really important for the type of player that you are in terms of being able to use the ground to get power, not just getting that body to open up. So some players need to have the foot a little bit squarer, particularly that lead foot, because from there they're able to push down into it and they'll use the power from the ground as they've pushed in to enable that body to open up. And yet you've got other players who need to have it flared out more, because that's going to enable them to be able to rotate through the shot more and get the hips more open. Now a lot of this is going to be down to which one is actually your dominant way of being able to play golf. So a really simple way to be able to check this to start with is, if you put the club across your hips here, if you just turn and you stay very centered here, that means that you're going to turn around your centered axis, so around your spine. If you tend to move over to the right here a little bit, it's the knee going over this right knee a little bit, that means that you're going to be predisposed to move over and shift to the right a little bit more. And if that right leg wants to straighten a little bit, you get a little bit of extra left knee flex, you're predisposed to turn around that front leg a little bit more. Now, what does this actually mean for foot flare? Well, if you actually get over to the right a little bit more here, you want to really encourage to have a lot more left foot flare, because it's going to really encourage you to be able to get open, because you're going to need to be able to have the ability to get that lower half to open up for you, because you've got to shift back over to the left before you can open. If you're a little bit more on the left side, to the exact opposite, you want to be really square in that front foot, because if you're here, you're going to be pushing down through the front of the left foot a little bit more. In transition, you're going to be over that left side really early. So you're going to take advantage of this by getting more vertical force, i.e. being able to push the body more up to get the club head speed. And if you're in the middle, therefore you'll only have a little bit of flare. So what I'm going to do is, we've been joined by two players today. So the first one is going to bring Jay in, and she will have a look at which foot flare is going to be right for her. And actually we'll then go the exact opposite, and she can give us her feedback on what this is feeling like from sort of the outcome of hitting the ball. So Jay, first off, show us how you do your backswing turn. So get yourself into position, club across your hips there. Now, you just make just a normal hip turn. Don't think about your shoulders, just make a normal backswing from there. Okay, so you can see here how your left knee is staying pretty solid over the front of that left foot. Now, just do a couple more of those and you can just sort of like get the feeling. So when we've measured you in the past, you're always a little bit more centre to left at the top in terms of when we've had you on the plates, which we're seeing right here. Now, flare your foot out for me. Okay, and then try a turn from there. Let me know what it feels like.
Strains in my knee, my ankle, also the hip a bit as well.
Okay, so because of the way that your hips are turning naturally, okay, so the internal rotation from your hip leading into your ankle, you're getting a lot of strain from that because it's going exactly against your anatomy. So it's not what you're sort of predisposed to do. So you getting that strain in there, I'd guess then on the way through it'll feel really weird. Have a look at what your downswing would feel like from there then. So you can see how you naturally on that way through, you'll tend to push and then push into the floor and then push back out. What does it feel like with that flared foot?
It feels like I'm hanging back more.
Yeah.
Can't quite get through it that way.
So what we'd probably see, and it'd be interesting to actually have a little go at in just a second, is that you'll probably start seeing the ball go right if you've got the flared foot, which you'd think the opposite because your body could turn more, but because you naturally push in the floor and that's how you get all your power and that's how you move, that squarer stance allows you to use the front of the foot properly. When you're flared, it's trying to get you to turn, but because you want to push, it's actually pushing you backwards because you're pushing on the outside of the foot and the ground's actually pushing you back this way. Okay, so why don't we try one with a foot flare, just see what that ball flight's like compared to what you'd normally do. Yeah, so yeah, just go pretty much straight over the flag that's in front of us.
So foot flared, yeah?
Yeah, and just get the feeling of trying to do the normal swing and then just give us your feedback from that. It was actually a pretty straight shot, in fairness. You take it all day as a straight shot. What did it feel like to your body?
It felt all right. It was a bit difficult to kind of get through it. It was more here
Yeah, you were really late getting off your right side, weren't you?
To getting through.
Okay, so right now, let's get one where you are slightly squarer in the foot, okay?
So normal stance.
Normal stance, and just making sure there's no flaring, or virtually no flare in that front knee.
Okay.
There. So now what you'll be able to do is, from there, you'll be able to feel like you can push into that front foot, which will then allow you to get through the shot properly. So we've seen straight away there, that's a much lower ball flight, isn't it?
Yeah.
When it first came out, and it was actually a lot stronger in terms of the peak of its flight. So because you were able to push, did you feel like you could get a bit more on top of it?
Yeah, it was a lot easier to just get through the ball.
What we see there is your divot's a bit longer, whereas the other way, you're sort of hanging back a little bit, which is why that ball flight was a lot higher. So it also showed up that, we've tested you before for this, but you can see that the way that that little test showed there, that when you do the opposite, so if you'd read things in magazines or you've seen friends doing things, they've given you that advice, it would be the exact wrong thing for you with your anatomy. So Sam, having a look at you with your hip turn, put the club across your hips for me, okay, just turn around to me that way. Perfect, mate. Right now, you see you naturally have that foot flare, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, if you just do your hip turn from there, okay, do another one, mate. And we can see that you're staying a lot more centred through here. Now, if we actually squared that front foot up, which would be the opposite to you, okay, now if you turn, it's almost stacking you through that leg a little bit, yeah? What does it feel like to you with it being too square?
I feel a bit restricted going back to there.
Yeah.
And then I would think coming through, I won't be able to turn through the ball.
Okay, so why don't you do a little through swing and see what it does? So you can see you can't get through it, so the only thing you'd have to do then would be spin your ankle over. So that'd be super inconsistent for you. Does it feel like it's actually putting a bit of strain through your ankle?
Right hand side.
Okay, so exact opposite of what we did with Jay. Let's have a look at you to start with the wrong thing, which is going to be having it square, because you actually both load the floor in completely different ways. Perfect. To be fair, that was pretty murdered, mate. What did that feel like?
Felt alright, to be fair. But
You're now thinking, I'm going to play with a square foot from now on, Dan. Actually, that was pretty good.
Thanks, sort of me.
Right, try another one, and this time, I want you to give me the feedback on how it feels when you're getting through the shot in terms of your ability to be able to rotate.
Right.
Because we know that you get all your speed from turning. So flare that foot out more now. Okay, so your normal position, that's great. So what did that feel like?
Feel like I can get more through the ball.
Yeah. Actually, probably similar-ish distance. Yeah. There's not a lot different in it, but it seemed like you got a lot more over that left side there, and like you're able to cover it a lot more, as in getting this part of the body on top and therefore being able to get into that left ankle. What was your feedback on it, mate?
No, it's a lot different with the square foot. I feel like I really have to lean back and get my arms through the ball. Yeah. Whereas left foot out, flare it, I feel I can get more over and drive through.
Perfect. You can see the importance of testing the way that your hips turn. So knowing that if you're going to move over to the right, if you're going to move to the left, or if you're sort of a centre turner, how that is dictated to by the foot flare, which therefore is going to allow you to get how open you can be at impact, or use the predominant power source that you're going to have naturally within your body, and this will then lead to a lot more consistency and should allow you to get a lot more speed out of how your body is predisposed to move. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Thanks for watching, and speak to you again soon.